Good evening, gamers. My name is KarQ. We got hero ban data from a blog released by Gavin Winter this evening, which shows graphs. We love graphs, don't we? Let's take a look at it, shall we? All right, welcome to the Weekly Recall. It's our new blog series in which we'll spotlight a topic close to our developers' hearts, including details on some of the latest changes to Quick Play, Competitive, and Stadium. Expect data, deep dives, design breakdowns, and surprises along the way. Love the transparency, guys. So Gavin's helping to kick things off with a look into the hero ban data. Who's getting the ban hammer dropped on them, and what does that mean? Find out below. Gavin, what do you have for us? Hey everyone, as we're halfway through season 16, I want to dive into hero bans from the last couple of weeks provided by our global insights team and server engineers. Seeing how you all have approached hero bans so far across different platforms, regions, and rankings has been incredibly fun. Are you ready to geek out over some numbers with me? All right, here we go. With the data only split by platform, the first graph is PC bans across, and the second graph is all consoles. Let's take a look at the full PC bans graph. You can see here, it says Sombra leads the PC pack with an impressive 85% ban rate, followed by Zarya, 59% for the tank category, and Doomfist at 43% in the tank category as well. Just by raw numbers at the top of the graph, 85% for Sombra, 59% for Zarya, Doomfist at 43%. If we take a look at Ana, they don't actually verbally say it, but we can just, if we just extrapolate, is that the right word? It's like 25, 27%. On the console graph, it says Sombra is banned even more at 93%, followed by Zarya at 57% and Symmetra at 23%. Whoa. Ball also gets a pretty high ban here at probably 25%, and Diva around 23% as well. For the support category, it's Mercy at the top here at around close to 20%. Interesting. When you actually take a look at these graphs, you can see it's a lot of these bans are mostly driven by like people not wanting to deal with certain heroes rather than what's objectively strong. Because I think by like raw data and win rates, Sombra does not even have like a above 50% win rate. She's just annoying to play against. People just want to get that out of the game right off the bat. People don't want to deal with the Zarya bubbles and her being super annoying and snowballing at 100 energy and killing your entire team. And I'm surprised at Ana being banned the most on PC. I'm not gonna lie, I've been mostly playing Stadium, so I've been a little out of the loop on what people are banning. Through social media, I was hearing that Mercy was getting banned a lot early on, but it looks like her numbers are actually a lot lower than I expected. Like comparatively speaking, on PC, it looks like a lot of other heroes have a higher ban rate than her, because you can only ban, 4 heroes per game. So you got Sombra, Freya, Pharah, Widow, Zarya, Doom, Ball, Ana, and then maybe Mercy mixed along there, with Moira rising up. Like, this has to be obviously the whole entire player base, right? But Moira being that high is quite surprising to me. And then for console, it's just a ton of tanks here. It's like the graph is exponentially higher for like a large amount of them. Zarya, Ball, Diva, Mauga, Doom, Orisa, Roadhog rising that high up here. Okay, the next graph they have in this weekly recall is for Freya. On PC, our newest hero is dashing through the wind. Good one. To catch up with the pack, earning a 27% ban rate, and Freya's ban rate each day by day is actually climbing steadily. So this is the graph showing bans over time. When she first got released, a little under 10%, and right now she's rising at 40%. But if we look at the overall graph, I think Freya's ban rate on average is still on console, like in the 10%? Or a little under 10%. And then on PC, it's at like 25% on average. But like, this is day by day. Like, obviously we just take the median or the middle, average out over time. But like right now, today, it's probably high 40%. Next graph is Freya's ban has been pretty low on console though. It's been sitting at like 2%, rising up to about 8% on console, probably because it's a pretty aim intensive hero. It's hard to aim reliably unless you're zimming. The least interesting note is that the least banned hero on PC is Baptiste at 0.16%. And the least banned hero on console is Hanzo at 0.24%. There are some big differences based on rank though. So now here are what the bans look like for PC at Masters and above. Masters, Grandmaster, and Champion players are banning Freya #1 at the top at close to 7%. Sombra way lower, down to 50%, a little under 50%, like maybe like 45. That means like the Masters and below player are pulling that average up, because Sombra's at like 83%, 85%, and 93 on console, which means your below Masters players are literally 100% banning her all the time and pulling that average up, right? Pharah gets a pretty high ban rate here, Widow, then Sojourn. For the tanks, Masters player hate Diva way more than Zarya. Zarya's a bit more manageable to deal with, but Diva's Matrix is just annoying, so they just get rid of her. And then Ana getting a huge ban rate as well. For Masters Plus on console, Sombra instead of Freya. Freya is like way lower on console. Sombra's just annoying to play against, and Freya Yeah, doesn't get it. D.Va, huge ban there. Also very annoying no matter what platform. And then Mauga shoots up here. That's crazy. Very, very interesting. Mercy, #1 banned on console. More than double Ana. But then on PC, Mercy's like 3rd down the line. Now, for more context, here is what Gavin says. Sombra is banned more often by console players, even at the highest ranks. But she isn't as highly regarded on PC. While overall, Zarya is the most banned tank, when we look at Masters and above, D.Va handedly steals the most banned slots for tanks for both console and PC. Ana is the most banned support hero at higher ranks on PC, while Mercy is the most banned hero on console. Zenyatta also sees a lot more bans on PC than he does on console. Now, more graphs. How did the hero bans look in different regions? Now, the following charts show the rates for Masters plus role queue, where the biggest differences appear, and we have the largest population of high MMR players. Every region has the same most banned hero in each role, which is Freya, D.Va, and Ana, but there is some nuance. EU and US players worry more about Mercy and Wrecking Ball, but Korea mostly ignores them. Korean bans are much more polarized, where fewer heroes get a majority of the bans, and the US and EU ban Sojourn pretty often, while she's often ignored in Korea. So, looking at the graph here, we can see that in Korea, Freya still at the top, Sombra pretty healthily up here, Pharah pretty high up, and then it just shoots down. No other DPS player is like cracking above 4% ban rate. So those are the top 3 by a large margin. For the tanks, D.Va again, Zarya, Doom, Orisa is pretty high up there. The support, Ana, huge ban rate, Zenyatta, huge ban rate, and the rest are pretty negligible. They do not care about banning Mercy up there. For Europe, look at this graph here. Yep, Freya at the top, but Pharah and Sombra shoots down way more. Yeah, then we see for the tanks, we have D.Va at the top, Ball, then Zarya, Hazard. Wow, Hazard is pretty high for EU. And then Ana way lower. A lot of them don't care about banning supports down here. Mercy's relatively high relative to the rest of it, but not really, to be honest with you. And then for the US or Americas, which does include like Australia and those regions as well, they play on the quote unquote US servers. Not literal for ping, but they play on the Americas region. Freya, Widow at the top, Pharah, Sombra, Sojourn. Then we see D.Va, Zarya, Ball. A pretty healthy amount of bans across the board for a lot of the tanks. And then Ana at the top. Yep, makes sense. Next, Gavin says another important factor to consider with hero bans is that players don't just ban different heroes at different ranks, but they also ban a different number of unique heroes based on rank. There's more alignment between players about which heroes should be banned at higher ranks. At Grandmaster, the average team tries to ban 4 heroes. In Bronze, the average team tries to ban 6 heroes. The damage role has the most disagreement upon heroes to ban, followed by tank and then support. At Grandmaster though, all 3 roles have pretty similar ban rates, which aligns with the data we've discussed in the past that imply that all 3 roles have very similar impact at the highest ranks. So you can look at this ban variance graph, Bronze, Silver, even in Gold, they choose up to like 5 to 6 heroes like he just said, with the highest amount of them being DPS heroes. But then you look at the Grandmaster graph and it's kind of like all over the place. The variance is low because people know what they want to ban there and they just pick it every time, almost 1 in each role. We know that one of the biggest questions you'll have is, now that we have all this data, what do we plan to do with it? In talking to our hero designers, they explained that they found the data we've collected so far very interesting and will be using it in the future to help inform balance changes. Heroes that are more niche or map specific may need to become more generalized if they're always banned where they perform well, but heroes that are very unpopular might see more adjustments regardless of performance. Ultimately, there aren't any specific changes in the works based on this data yet, and hero ban data alone would never dictate how heroes are balanced. Okay, so before we move on and read this, now that these hopefully weekly dives into data can literally prove to people that hero perception varies so wildly. Every time I like do a balanced coverage video and I read the comments, they vary widely based on like the YouTube comments, like, oh my god, why did they buff or nerf this hero? Why didn't they change this hero? These devs don't know what they're talking about. Then I post the same patch shortened on TikTok. The comments are very different there. Different audience on different platforms, and you can see different perception based on the rank you play and the region you play. By far, there's a couple of commonalities between them, like D.Va, Freya, but then like huge difference on hero perception. I find being a hero balancer, or just like being on the balance team of any game, just incredibly hard, because like you can't make everybody happy. That's the bottom line. You can't please everybody. There's too much going on here, and objectively data is one metric to look at it. Hero bans should be one additional factor to look at it, but it's good that they're saying this alone would never dictate it, but you have to balance between, you know, your casuals, your casual bronze, silver, gold players are doing, your quick play warriors only, how they feel about certain heroes. Mix that with the data, mix that with social media sentiment, how people are feeling when they express themselves, how the top players are feeling. Like a lot of people will be like, ban Mercy, but then you look at Korea, they do not care about Mercy. They just ignore her. They don't even ban her. Don't even worry. It's crazy. Very, very, very crazy. Speaking to the system itself, we're happy with how it works overall, their ban system. We believe this system is meeting most of its goals, and we're excited to see how hero bans evolve over time, especially once we start releasing more data about our hero win rates and pick rates in the future. One way that we're considering changing the system is to add a feature to preferred hero that would allow it to act as a tiebreaker. Around 42% of all games since we launched the feature have had 7 or 5 vote ties. A player's first choice, again, is worth 7 votes, and a player's second choice is worth 5 votes. That means it's common for multiple players to be voting for different heroes and for us to have break ties randomly, which isn't awesome. As you can also infer from the ban variance data above, that's a lot more common in the lower ranks where there's less alignment about who to vote on. So the feature we're considering adding is making each preferred hero choice worth 1 negative vote to reduce that. 1 vote isn't much since each player technically has 15 votes if you total all 3 choices, but this will mean that if multiple heroes are tied for a ban and that hero isn't preferred by any players, will be banned. This negative vote would never count twice, such as if 2 damaged heroes players preferred Widowmaker. These negative votes would also never apply to the other team's votes. Let us know what you think of this idea and keep sending us all your other feedback on hero bans. Systems like hero bans and our upcoming map voting feature, which launches in season 17, so that's next season in about a month from now, are constantly improved by your feedback because we are making a great game together. Also, don't forget to check out our next drive starting on June the 19th. If you are still reading after surviving the tsunami of data, may your wins always be uphill battles and your losses consolations. Oh, that's interesting, making it worth 1 less. So I think if I recall their ban system, like your primary priority vote is worth 7, second is 5, and the last is worth 3. So actually like hovering what you want to play early on does have weighting now. If they implement that, it's pretty subtle, but it could act, like you said, act as a tiebreaker, which is really good where, you know, you play a controversial hero, like, I don't know, let's say you're like a Genji player who does get a relatively decent amount of bans on PC. Like if you hover over it and pick it as a preferred hero, that could save you from him getting banned, especially if some people did choose him that game. So pretty cool. I like the idea. So no feedback there. I say yes. And thank you for the transparency on the player data. Hopefully it shuts up some of the naysayers on their perception of certain heroes, and no need to, get all up in arms in the comments every time a balance change happens in the game where you're confused. Like, we can criticize certain ones for sure, but sometimes like there probably is some sort of reason behind it instead of just like dumb devs just nerfing Genji again for absolutely no reason. Anyways, goodbye.